Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome here to ROG Pulse. I am apparently upside down because I forgot to set up that main scene. Guys, I'm a dingus. I set up this one scene because I was like, yo, we're going to podcast. But hi, I'm joined here with Lane and Eric. What's up, everyone?
What's up?
I like
How you doing, Jake?
I like your hoodie, Eric. It's a very nice hoodie.
Yeah.
We're
We're
matching
repping
today.
the ROG Stealth hoodie. Worth every penny. I love this hoodie.
You know, it's a good hoodie when it has a name. We name like every product we have. Doesn't matter what it is. We have like ROG socks and they're called like ROG Swifts. No, we don't actually have ROG socks. Not yet. Wait for it. They're gonna...
What is the name for our new little keycap that has an ROG graphics card on it? That should have a cool name because I want one desperately.
Yeah, it's the mega shift key. Is it a shift or an enter key?
Right shift, if memory serves.
Oh, we do have.
Have you not heard of this, Jake?
I have not heard of this.
It looks great. I want to say 3D printed, but it almost looks better than that. Like custom PVT keycap.
Oh man,
replacing the right shift.
The fans spin, Jake. The fans spin.
Someday I'm gonna get used to this. This whole individual muting of individual lines because this is a new flow for me, Lane. We've squelched the mute. It was very spooky. I'm sorry if I spooked anyone. It's all me. It's my fault. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know about that. We do have ROG socks, as Whitson called out in chat. Those came with the Alan Walker edition laptop. There were socks. I did not keep them for me. I put them back in the box and I mailed that off. So whoever decided to keep those socks for them, they own a nice pair of ROG socks. I'm not quite so lucky. Guys, today we're going to be diving in to talk about all your tech and gaming news, as always, but we're also going to be talking about just getting the most out of your PC for the longest period of time. You guys have actually been doing a lot of research on this, not just research, but you guys are seasoned vets in the space. You guys really know how to maintain your PC. I think I've got a bit of a, opinion as well as to how I get the most out of my PC over years, because many of us have been in a situation where our PC is 4, 5, 6 years old and we're still gaming on it. My friend, I talk about this on stream all the time, still rocking a 780, right? That's a fairly old GPU, and I'm sure there's some guys in chat that are in similar situations, maybe with like an 860, 980 is still a great card to have, right? But it's still reasonably old at this point. And obviously it goes beyond that. Your CPU, your motherboard, your RAM, how you build your PC, what to look for in the future. Like maybe you take one step and you upgrade this, and then you look to be able to do future upgrades. A lot of different parts to this puzzle that we'll be talking about in just a bit. But before we get there, I'm going to throw a curveball to Eric. What have you been playing lately, Eric? What have you been gaming?
What have I been gaming? I'll tell you, the fellows in my gaming group and I are diving into Divinity 2 Original Sin this Saturday.
Never played it?
Now, this is not quite an answer to your question because I haven't played it yet, but it hit a sale that like none of us could resist. We're going to check it all out for the first time. And I'm really hoping it hits my nostalgia for Baldur's Gate. That might be before Lane's time over there, but he's nodding, so that makes me feel better.
Do you have any experience with Dungeons and Dragons at all?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, if you like D&D, you're gonna love Divinity. I have a group of friends that are obsessed with it. They've been yelling at me forever to actually go and play co-op with my wife. They're like, you guys would love it. And I actually own it. My wife owns it, and we have the full capability of doing it. We just haven't the backlog, man. It's like, you look and it's like, man, look at all these games to play.
I always have time for a good co-op game with my wife, though. That is a category of game that gets played.
Well, when you spend 500 hours playing Valheim with your wife, other games just don't happen to find time. You just kind of Stardew Valley, Valheim, those kind of end up being. But I think I convinced her to play Deep Rock Galactic with me. I think she's gonna like that.
Oh.
Yeah, that one was fantastic. I can definitely vouch for that.
We played that last week. It was a lot of fun. Lane, what are you grinding right now?
I'm not grinding much of anything because I'm about to move tomorrow. So my computer has been disconnected. I'm wireless at the moment.
No, but the question stands. What does one do when you don't have your PC to play? You got any phone games to play? You just like staring at the ceiling? Like what? I don't understand. How do you?
Hearthstone Battlegrounds, sir. Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Get with the program.
No, the last phone game I had was Angry Birds, I think, in high school. It's been a while.
Wow, you really are not a phone game player. Okay.
I'm not a mobile gamer, no.
Okay. I play a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds myself. Eric, do you play still?
I do.
What rank? What rank
that
are
is
you?
my morning cup of coffee. It's just under 6,000 at the moment.
Nice, not bad. I'm like 8,200 at the moment, and I'm a try hard with that game. I'm very try hard. Not a huge fan.
I hear that flex.
Is this MMR that we're ranking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
really waiting for the balance patch though. Like,
I know, Buddies
has been so wacky and ridiculous.
Ever since the Buddies came out, it's
a whole new game.
Incredibly
I love how much faster
imbalanced.
it is.
Yeah, it is faster. Yeah, but it is incredibly imbalanced. Like there's just some characters that are far better than others in terms of their skills. Oh well, it's fun. On that note, I guess we haven't really talked about it, but Blizzard Activision has confirmed that there is a Warcraft mobile game coming out in 2022. We don't know what this is. The fact that they're calling it a standalone game mean it's not just a World of Warcraft tie-in, which used to exist. There used to be just like this little like auction house and like mini game thing basically that tied into World of Warcraft. This is going to be standalone. And they're calling it Warcraft. They're not necessarily calling it World of Warcraft. So this could be the closest thing we have to a successor of the Warcraft RTS style game. It could be kind of like Clash Royale or Clash of Clans, where it's got those kind of elements to it. We really don't know, but I will tell you this. My ROG Phone 5 will be getting a lot of game time when that game comes out. When someone asked in the chat if the ROG Phone 5 is worth it, the answer is absolutely yes. 144 hertz, especially as more games on mobile start to support that resolution. We have a new Star Wars like MOBA coming out called Star Wars what's it called? Battlers or Bounty?
You had me at Star Wars MOBA. I mean, if you want to talk about an asymmetrical universe, that's an ideal one.
It looks like Smite. Right. And so they haven't actually clarified as to what the game type is. They just call it an arena brawler or something like that. And, you've got like Jedi, it's third person, right? So it's you've got skill sets. Some people said it looks like Overwatch, but I'm like, how can you say it looks like Overwatch when it's not a first person shooter in any way, shape, or form? Like it's a third person game with like Jedi and Wookiee with big hammers. And, there are guys with guns, like you can play as like Boba Fett. But it's team based. It's 4v4. It's going to be on Switch. It's going to be on mobile. Wow. I can't believe I can't think of the name of it. I just linked the video of it to Whitson yesterday. I'm like, yo, check this out.
Here, I'll look it up for you. Let's see if I can find it.
I believe in you. But yeah.
Hey, is it going to unseat Pokemon Unite from my household's?
Oh, you guys are still playing that? Interesting.
Star Wars Force Arena? Does that sound right?
No.
My family's gotten a little distracted by Splatoon 2. The Splatoon 3 announcements have really caught the attention. So the second one has kind of got a resurgence of interest.
Splatoon? I mean, a lot of people like it. Star Wars Hunters. I knew it was like something fairly generic. Star Wars Hunters is the name of the game. I think swhunters.com would be the actual website. Let me see if I can actually just pull it up on screen here. Yeah, we can just take a quick look-see at this and the play video. But it really does look like a treat in a lot of ways, in the sense that it's, the Star Wars IP. They're creating a lot of their own characters for this game. They're pulling from the hat. Just I don't know if it looks exactly like Boba Fett to me. Maybe it isn't. No, that's Boba Fett. Like, no, maybe not. It's just
that's just a Mandalorian.
Yeah. Yeah. So they've got a Mandalorian. They're just kind of creating their own characters. There's like a Wookiee gladiator. There he goes. Oh yeah, I love me.
I'm curious if this is set in the Old Republic or the current. No, that's an Imperial stormtrooper, so it's current.
I don't think it has necessarily has a timeline. I think it's just kind of like
it's like a
non-canon, just best
non-canon brawler,
just like because it doesn't make sense to necessarily restrict yourself. I mean,
in the same way that Heroes of the Storm was doing Warcraft and StarCraft characters together.
Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. It's every Blizzard IP, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's non-canon. It's just kind of its own thing. And then Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
Jawas are playable?
I'm sold. 2 Jawas stacked up on each other.
I went from knowing
like
nothing about this to
BoJack
wanting to play it.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I'm gonna have to get a Switch for this.
Play it on mobile. Frankly, so here's actually my whole stance on this. I actually finally just decided my Switch. I'm done with it. I'm sick of the poor performance. It's really not a powerful device. It's a very affordable device, sure. But most of the games I was trying to play on it, like Pokemon Unite, for example, I was really trying to like grind that game. You don't get 60 FPS, right? And it just I don't know if I'm a bit of an elitist or a snob at this point, but I just can't stand it. So I sold it. I just got rid of it. There's still a demand for Switch. There's plenty of people that will enjoy it and use it more than me. Violence. And frankly, I'm not necessarily the right person, for the product. So ROG Phone 5, much better. And you can basically turn your ROG phone into a Switch.
If I can jump in there, you were pumping the ROG phone for the mobile gaming, but just using it for day-to-day life. I'm a huge Reddit guy. Scrolling Reddit on mobile has never been as amazing as 144 hertz. Like you could get the phone just for that and never game on it.
It's the most extra thing I've ever heard, but I like it.
And a huge battery. It'll last for like 3 days. That's just quality of life.
So much Reddit.
Yeah.
I see a new marketing campaign.
Yeah.
I think it was a lost opportunity, yeah.
For Reddit.
So I just want to quickly respond to a Twitch question about streaming stuff. Please come back to the stream tomorrow and ask questions like that. I'll be happy to give you tips on streaming and everything when we have less of a targeted discussion. We do more of a long form stream on Thursday, Friday this week, 3 to 6 Eastern, 12 to 3 Pacific. If you want to ask questions about how to optimize your stream and stuff, I can give you that and have more of a conversation with you there. Okay, rolling on with other news. You can see I've been having this countdown on the screen, and I just realized we should have probably addressed this immediately because I don't want people to think this is a countdown for an ROG announcement, as it is not. This is called the Capcom Countdown. It is a countdown for something. Eric, what do you think it's going to be?
Resident Evil 4 remake.
Lane?
I have no idea.
No guesses. I'm going to guess Street Fighter 6. Because I feel like it's been a minute, but I also feel like Street Fighter games don't necessarily make as much money as Resident Evil games have. Resident Evil and Monster Hunter seem to be the bread and butter of
the
Capcom
font
right now.
A giveaway? Is it like in the same font as any one of those titles?
I don't think so.
All right. I'm looking for Easter eggs.
Yeah, so it's kind of in the font of like an old style like alarm clock, right? Like one of the more analog ones, it would kind of like flip for each sort of number. So somebody could probably suss out more details from this than I can. But let me just throw out there, right? Like, the Resident Evil franchise has not seen like new storyline material really have so much commercial success as like last year's Village. Like that was really kind of a big moment for that franchise, and it would not surprise me to see them like building on that. If they didn't remake 4, I would forgive them. If it were like Village 2, I don't know how they make the new Roman numeral 9 into a word.
Well, they're making a sequel to Village. I don't even know if they're calling it Resident Evil 9. They might actually just make Village 2. But who knows? I don't know how they're going to do it. But they definitely are going to be continuing that story, and they confirmed that. I mean, they ended on a point where they really could be doing that. Just kind of grasping at anything here for clues. There is a bit of a slash behind the 9. I don't know, like just that white, like, I don't know. It just seems out of place. And then we also, so that could mean Resident Evil 9. Maybe they're drawing attention to the 9. Who knows? We're looking at a 9 right now, so that's definitely not it because that time will change. So just disregard my statement right there. And there's a green splat in the bottom left corner. So who knows? It's not, I don't think that's the minute hand, but it could be.
Yeah, if it's a minute hand, it's pointing at a 10, which bugs me because then it's a 9 hanging out in front of
Yeah,
the 10.
weird. Either way, Resident Evil news on the way before long.
Maybe I'm just desperate for Resident Evil news, and this is a Monster Hunter.
Ooh.
Speaking of another very successful franchise with some great entries recently.
I don't have a lot of experience with that series myself. Lane, you ever played Monster Hunter?
No, I've been invited multiple times, but I never did. It's turning into my divinity, I guess.
Oh no. Yeah. What, for World you mean, like playing with friends?
Yeah. Pick it up. It's on sale. Pick it up. It's on sale. I'm like, I got a lot of Steam games I need to catch up on, man. I've got Game Pass now.
It's funny because that's one of those games that I ultimately did end up picking up, and I feel like I would absolutely love it if I gave it a chance, but I got into it a little bit too late, and then it just feels like there's so much content to consume and learn that it's a little bit difficult to get into sometimes, which is I think true for a lot of MMOs. And speaking of MMOs, Lost Ark, a Korean MMO that's extremely successful in the East, has finally been released in the West, and right out the gates,
breaking some records.
Yeah, Friday last week, it's most concurrents on day one, I think, ever, setting the second highest concurrent player base on all of Steam, surpassing every single game for concurrent players except for PUBG. So it's officially beaten Dota, it's beaten CSGO, it's beaten Cyberpunk, Cyberpunk's a feat in itself being a single player game. But it's been an impressive launch.
Yeah, that's huge. It's free to play, right?
Yep, they had a early access for like $15, or you could spend more if you wanted to. And early access was like 3 days. You think you could start on Tuesday last week, but it is now officially free to play, open to everyone on Steam, and it's so popular that Europe is like on fire. That like the servers just can't keep up. They're like they just cannot keep up.
That's
So,
awesome.
Jake, I know you've been playing it. Like, kind of here's my question. Like, I'm meaning to pick that up this week,
sure.
but it's also a couple-year-old game with like established content and a community. Am I going to be a little overwhelmed by its systems when I hop in, or is this real kind of new player friendly?
I think they did a remarkable job at making it palatable. Because like typically that was my big fear, and I did not once feel like I was overwhelmed. There are a lot of objects in my inventory that I've just decided like I'm going to ignore them for the time being, but they also give you a very large inventory where you can get away with that. They have guides for everything. The HUD in the UI in the game is stellar. It is top notch. And they also did adapt the game a little bit for this Western release. So one thing to note is the game starts you off at level 10. Initially, there was this whole like you pick a class, and then your class transitions to an advanced class, and that was like level 1 through 10. So you pick like Archer, and then Archer becomes either sharpshooter, gunslinger, or demolitionist. Or you pick like Mage, and Mage becomes either Sorcerer, Bard, or Summoner, right? And that's like, you kind of like evolve into this more specialized class. It's a little bit different. They completely gutted that whole section. You just load in, you start at level 10, you talk to someone, you pick the advanced class you want, and then you're a level 10 running around.
Interesting.
There's probably reasons to that. Like a lot of voice acting would have been needed. I think the voice acting budget itself is probably one of the things it seems they skimped on. Dialogue is sometimes like the subtitle doesn't always match the actual spoken dialogue. Like someone's name will be like Arya, but it'll say Alia and stuff like that. Or it's so there's like some funny things that happen. Like mayhem and madness sometimes get used interchangeably in the text and the spoken. It's like, it's like okay. I mean, it's fine. There's small things, but the game itself is extremely good. It feels pretty approachable. And I guess the one other thing to point out is there's content they withheld. So remember I mentioned like a lot of these classes, these advanced classes, some of them aren't even in the game yet for us. They're in the game for other regions, but they've withheld content just to give us, I guess, a flow of content in the future.
Okay.
I can live with that. That's reasonable.
Very fun game. Check it out on Steam if you guys haven't played it yet.
All right.
It's a good one. Man, we got a lot to get through with news, surprisingly, or I'm just in a good mood today and I'm rambling like crazy. I'm not sure which it is, but a new AAA dark fantasy series. Have you guys read about this?
Just a little bit.
So there is.
Give it to me, Jake. Give it to me.
Okay, let me click the link. PC Gamer reported that Witcher 3 director and Cyberpunk 2077 veterans announced a new studio and a AAA dark fantasy. So basically, these guys from CD Projekt Red have broken out to create their own studio called Rebel Wolves, which is they're based in Warsaw, Poland. And we know they're making a dark fantasy. That's all we know. I don't know that we need to know more than that, but that's enough to be excited.
Yeah, you had me at they made The Witcher and Cyberpunk, and they broke off from CD Projekt Red to make a dark fantasy. That sounds ideal.
Which is an interesting thing, because we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of new studios being born out of talent. Like I think of Lightforge. Lightforge is a lot of Blizzard and Epic Games vets. New studio that's fully remote that popped up. We don't really know what they're making. Frost Giant Studios, StarCraft 2 guys that wanted to be making RTS. They just wanted to be making RTS. Blizzard didn't want to be, apparently, and now we see they're making their next. They want to make an esports focused RTS like what StarCraft always was. I mean, people that are really passionate about doing something and they think they can do it without their overlords, we'll call them. Cool, more power to them, and I wish all these new studios the best of success, because I expect that the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to start seeing some crazy new things come out. Brand new IPs. Like I think we're going to be in an IP rich environment.
I gotta say, a lot of these developers came up in a time of small video game studios. You look back at the 90s, at the early aughts, a lot of great games were being made by small teams. And I think they remember kind of the passionate interaction, the having kind of your being involved in every stage of the development, no one was there for one job. I think they remember that environment and want to recreate it, especially today. I know people talk about big acquisitions like Microsoft, buying lots of companies, but at the same time, small studios are making fantastic games right now. There are so many interesting titles that come out every day. You talk about your Steam library being so huge. We have so much choice. It's almost an embarrassment of options if you're playing on PC about what to play on any given day. And so, if I were a developer right now with experience and prestige who wanted to kind of get back to my roots, I would make a small studio and start working on a game right now. It's a great time for it. I look forward to playing their game in 2030 or whenever it is it comes out.
I think it's also just neat to point out that we might have some of the best accessibility to just engines. You think about how powerful Unreal is, and it's very reasonable. I think they have some, I forget which version of Unreal Engine it is, but until you pass $1 million, it's free to use. And after you pass 1 million, then in revenue, they're okay, now we're gonna start taking a portion of your profits. But that's so incredibly generous and just appealing, and for anyone to just kind of be okay, well, we have this great tool, let's just use our talent and build a game with this amazing tool. So it's not the newest version of Unreal, it's the previous version, but still.
Sure. I mean, you don't have to make your own engine to make a AAA game. That's a big development.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you can still make profit on it. I mean, 1 million is not bad. That'll cover a lot of operating costs.
Yeah. Especially when we have games like Valheim made by 8 people, right? Obviously, you can do a lot with a small team, and we've seen that. I mean, Deep Rock Galactic, I think that was 4 people or something as well. Another small studio that's just absolutely incredible, and they've now bumped up their staff to be much larger. But that's what you can do with success. Yeah, I don't know. Exciting stuff in the game world. Arano in chat says, can't wait to be disappointed by this Capcom, timer that's on the screen right now. And speaking of timers, we are due for our first giveaway of the day before we jump into our main topic. So we're going to fire up a Marbles on Stream session before we segue over to discuss how to maximize your PC's lifetime, longevity for your hardware.
That's right. I have to get in on this.
You going to try to win?
There is no try.
Going full Yoda on you.
You don't get to show me Star Wars content and begrudge me my Star Wars quotes.
Eric, I haven't asked you, how did you feel about the Boba Fett finale?
I loved it. Can I just stake my claim there? Like,
sure.
I love Star Wars. I really do. I've got this deep affection for Star Wars. And when Star Wars does something well, I just gush. And you know what? I had my concerns at the start of the season. I was a little confused by some of the things they did. But man, they pulled it together in a way that just, yeah, I'm thrilled. I see the discussion.
Yeah. I think Lane and I are on the opposite side. I loved episode 5 and 6 of the season, but I did not love the final episode. I loved moments in the final episode, and I loved concepts that were shown in the final episode. But some of the execution of, let's say, the big guys fighting, love the concept there. But I really think everything in the way those scenes were choreographed was a little, weak. But that's just me. That's me. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan to an extreme extent as well, but I'm also a very critical Star Wars fan who's quite ready to be angry. Angry Star Wars nerd.
Yes, definitely. I'm in the same boat. I live and breathe Star Wars for sure.
My people.
It's funny the way you phrase that. What was it? Episode 5 and 6. It was a 7-episode season. So you're like, I really liked episode 5 and 6. To me, I felt like episode 5 and 6 were a separate series. They just forgot to label it differently.
The show is 3 different shows. There's the memories of living with the Tusken Raiders. That's like totally isolated and has no impact on the rest of the story, other than he learns how to fight with a staff. Sorry, I need to not have this Star Wars Rage show right now. We're gonna do our giveaway.
Set yourself up for failure.
I know. Get your type exclamation mark play. I actually usually try to give everyone on YouTube a heads up if you guys aren't regular watchers. This only works on Twitch for the giveaway. The command is integrated fully into Twitch chat, so you must type exclamation mark play in Twitch chat in order to participate in the giveaway. This is a $20 voucher to GamesPlanet.com. And here we go. We'll be doing one more giveaway in about 20-ish minutes. GLHF. Big Dogs apparently made this map.
Is this a fan map? Or
that's why it says Big Dogs. I like to.
All right, I'm calling it right now. I believe in Disco Ninja. Disco Ninja, wherever you are, you got this.
Oh wow, you're getting like favoritism
from
Eric.
Hey, I call him like I see him.
Okay, I believe in you.
Let me see your hands. Make sure you don't have your finger on the throttle.
Wait, me?
No, Eric. All right, good.
No cheating here.
Looks like Orgo.
Only the power of positive thinking. Oh.
Tipsy Momo.
Oh.
Sorry, there's still a chance someone will get yeeted. Oh, okay, this is good. Yee.
Oh God, this is a view. Oh, boulders, boosting. Where's the end? Oh, this looks weird. I don't like.
This is the yeet machine.
I think. Oh God, what is?
Something bad's gonna happen over here.
I don't really understand what this. Okay, it's a little elevator. UK 007 in the lead. But this is not very inviting looking. Oh God, you're brave to continue forward. I would just stop.
This looks like the clock
Okay,
level.
you just go underneath it.
It
It's
takes
just
two, right?
it doesn't do anything.
I thought there was going to be more action.
I know. I'm very disappointed. Big dogs, let us down. Okay, UK hits some debris, loses the momentum. Bob rolling forward. Tipsy Momo sneaking in there.
Oh, is Tipsy Momo back to claim the pole position?
Oh,
Bob Souza.
The deflection.
All right, what has to happen here?
Tipsy Momo snuck in there and got the win.
That was the win.
Look at that. That's a weird. They like hid the.
Yeah, it's stealthy.
Sneaky. All right, Tipsy. Type in chat to confirm your win.
Disco Ninja, I'm sorry. I believed in you, but my belief wasn't powerful enough.
I think
It's
maybe your belief.
curse.
Yeah, you cursed him. That's what that is. As soon as you said he's gonna win, there was no chance.
Don't lay that on me.
No chance. You absolutely. I mean, he should have just walked away from his computer.
Unplug your internet. It's over for you.
Oh, I'm done.
Don't worry. We got another chance coming up in a bit. We got to just make sure Tipsy. All right, we got the confirmation. We'll log the win.
All right, next time I'm just gonna slag on Disco Ninja. I'm gonna say nothing but bad things about
That's the way
Disco
to
Ninja's possibilities for winning.
insult him. Tell him he's never going to do anything good in his life. No.
Don't take it personally, Disco Ninja. It's just reverse psychology.
So, as we transition to our main discussion of today, guys, we're going to talk about how to make your gaming PC stand the test of time. And you guys wrote this lovely article, so I said, hey, let's just talk about it on stream. Yeah.
That guy right there. He's going to take all the credit.
He's going to take it, or does he deserve it?
It was a fun one. No, I did some work on this one. Never been more important, right? When we can't find parts, got to make your current ones last as long as possible.
You know, Chris Barr even reached out to me when he heard we were doing this conversation today. He goes, "Did you know that just like 2 days ago was Clean Your PC Day, like official National Clean Your PC Day?"
There's too many national blah 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 days to keep up with.
He makes these cute little cartoons on like his Instagram and stuff.
Nice.
For each day there is, and that one it was just like he's like, oh well, good timing because it was just Clean Your PC Day, which is of course one of those many components to making your PC stand the test of time. But you know, just kind of opening it. Let's talk about like if you're planning a new build. How do you plan a new build that's going to last you? And what are the best things to do in that process?
Sure. Some things to consider. What do you need now, and what do you think you might need in 3 years? Are those exactly the same? Maybe you only need one M.2 drive for your games. Could be nice to have 2 or 3. Do you want a VRM that's going to be fine for, if you're on Intel, a non-K SKU part? Or do you want to have something that can slot in a more powerful chip? Just building yourself a little bit more room for growth. One thing I've always thought about is ITX is incredibly popular right now. And DTX and M-ATX, and I believe all of those have 2 RAM slots. But then you're only stuck with 2 RAM slots. If you want the full 4 and give yourself a little bit of room for expansion, ATX is the way to go. Just small things like that when you're looking at your parts list before you pull trigger on anything.
Do you use PC Part Picker to make your...
Yeah, I do. I love it. Not for pricing, but for compatibility and just being able to kind of like visualize the shopping list while you're going down through it. Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, Lane, I'll tell you a story about that idea of kind of planning for the future. About 4 years ago, I built my wife a gaming PC. And at the time, I said to myself, you know, this like 2-core i3 with hyper-threading, this is going to be all she needs. And you know what? 4 or 5 years ago, that was all she needed until like 2 years ago, she needs to start doing video encoding.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to say bad things about that i3, but it was not built for video encoding.
It was
I
not.
just built her a new PC based on 12th gen Intel, put an i5 in there, and yeah, it's changing her life. And so I was kind of thinking back in this process, like, what if I had ponied up a little bit more for a more capable CPU? Would I be building a new PC right now?
Right. Would it still have legs 4 or 5 years later because it wasn't the i3? Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that have never done video encoding, if you don't have a CPU that's capable of it, we're talking hours to encode a video and then a risk of crashing during that time. So
right.
it is not
a real-time encode.
Right. Well, yeah, but even just it's you want to have a machine capable for that for sure.
Sure. Yeah, another spot for room to growth. Like, let's talk storage, right? Because I don't think you can honestly buy too much storage right now. Like, I just don't think you can.
Depends on the user. If you play one game, that's all you do. If you're like, I'm just going to jam League of Legends and that's why I have my PC, you don't need 3 terabytes of storage.
I mean, if someone in this chat comes forward and says, yeah, there's only one game installed on my PC right now, like, I will mail you $1, Jake. I will mail you $1.
Those players exist. There were years where I played one game. I'm serious. Yeah, they exist.
With like 5 others installed on your computer.
I 100% agree with Eric with the caveat that you can't buy too much storage of a specific speed. You can't buy too much SATA storage, and you probably can't buy too much PCIe Gen 3 M.2 storage.
Mm-hmm.
You might be going a little overkill. You might never actually need PCIe Gen 4 storage. So that might be one where you would tone it down. But pretty much 2 terabytes of any of the other two are so affordable at this point.
I would agree. But that's also an easy thing to upgrade in the future, right? So you don't necessarily need to commit to that storage right away. And then when you decide that it's like, oh, wow, my hard drive is full or my SSD is full. It's time to pull the trigger on a cheap, $80. It's not like a break the bank kind of upgrade where you're getting storage that's then going to last you for a substantial amount of time if you're that kind of user. I mean,
which is true because the price will go down over time for sure.
Yeah. So it's a nice thing for planning ahead, though, right?
I mean, that's why we're talking about like building room for growth. Like you're buying a motherboard. Consider one with a couple more onboard M.2 slots.
Yep.
If you're looking at laptops, like look for brands that make it easy to open up your laptop and put in a new stick.
Yep.
Not that I'm highlighting any particular brand.
Hashtag.
But make sure you can actually do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, in almost all of our devices allow you to open it up, add RAM, add an extra M.2, swap out the M.2, one or the other. And you can get a lot more out of your machine with that. We even see that with consoles as a thing. Back in the day of the N64, the expansion slot. Yes.
There you
go. You only play Farmville? Wow, legend. Didn't know that game was still active.
Isn't that browser only, or is there a client now?
I think it's browser only. I think it's Facebook and browser only.
The Farmville empire has expanded, sir.
Wait, is that Zynga?
It was at the time. I don't know what it is now.
Zynga's making that new Star Wars game.
Oh no. I was hyped.
You still should be hyped. I mean, I'm sure they're doing great things. But think that anyways, Farmville was, when was the peak of Farmville? Many years ago at this point.
I was in high school, so a decade ago.
At least. Wow, that's hard to believe. Yeah, okay. So planning for hardware upgrades, obviously, that's all good and well. But what if you have an existing PC right now, and you've got your PC, you've got a GTX 1080, maybe like a i7 in there, a solid machine, all in all, handles for the most part the games you wanna play, but it's starting to slow down. How do we keep that machine running as good as we can?
Sure. You can go for the physical, of course. You might have a little bit of dust in your case and things are hotter than they need to be, or the boost clocks aren't able to get as high. So dusting out your case itself, the CPU heatsink, the GPU heatsinks, I usually don't do that. That involves pulling the card out of the system and using an air blower on it. It's a little bit more involved, but you can definitely see an improvement from that. In addition, software. If you've been running maybe this machine since it was a Windows 7 install and it went to Windows 10 and now maybe you're on Windows 11, there might be a couple corrupted files in there. And doing a clean install of Windows might get you 5, 10, 15% performance for free.
Eric, do you agree? Do you think that's worth it? Like, what is the, hey, I need to do a fresh install versus the, hey, I just need to go in and manually try to clean things up and update my drivers?
So in my experience with Windows, right, like I remember kind of back in the day when I did a fresh wipe about once a year. And I felt like that's where the Windows platform was. And my experience with Windows 7 and Windows 10 in particular has been very different. I have not seen the need for like complete wipes every time I turn around. You know, most of the time, like it's the system that tells me when it's ready to go. And that's when you're just seeing odd, illogical, and like errors that just aren't repeating. Like just it'll tell you when it's time to kind of do a reset, back up your files, and get things going again. And it's honestly so much easier of a process than it used to be. You know, just you hit start, you go to reset my PC, and you can largely get a lot of benefit to how your PC is running, even without wiping your files.
Wait.
Like, I really want to give Microsoft credit for that.
Right.
You think it's easier than having to put 3 different disks in to reinstall Windows?
3.
That's way easier.
Only 3.
Oh.
So what Eric was talking about, I did that personally when I did a platform swap. I did the reset without deleting all of my C drive, and I was able to switch from Intel to Ryzen and have absolutely no problems.
Yeah.
So
That's impressive.
I got to give Windows a tip of my hat on that one. It was great.
It's actually what I'm hoping to do next year. Basically, retain all the files, get a fresh M.2, install fresh Windows 11 on there, and then swap to probably Intel next gen. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. But I just want to bounce around. I got to ask in chat, has anyone in here never reinstalled Windows on an older PC, or, let's say older is 3+ years? That's being not generous. That's not very old for most people, I feel. But has anybody not done that? And if so, what's held you back? Are you afraid? Are you worried about the process? Because it really is, especially like I think about, over the years of doing it, it's so satisfying to have like this clean slate. You feel like it's almost like having a new PC, right? The components aren't necessarily new, but once you remove all that grime, the digital grime, it's like, oh, shiny and whew, it's moving faster.
My desktop, it's clean again.
I almost feel like it used to be considered the nuclear option because it was so involved, and things could go wrong. And it really isn't anymore. It's just another step in the chain that you can take.
And there's even
it's not the last one.
Like you said, there's even an option to remove all files or not, right? You can reinstall without purging all your content. And the other great asset that we have today is cloud storage, right? If you have like a picture folder and a video folder and whatever else that you just cannot lose, you just drop it on your cloud if you don't own an external hard drive, and then you're good. You just claim it back after. I've done that myself many times.
Oh yeah, if you just let OneDrive do its thing, like likely the stuff you care about the most is already backed up.
Exactly. Kane wants me to guess how old your PC is. I'm going to say 6 years old, Kane, because I really don't know. That's my guess. If you're asking me to guess, I'm going to guess that it's fairly old. 10 years old? So how many times have you reinstalled Windows?
What platform would that be on from 10 years ago? Like 2nd gen Core? 3rd gen Core?
I don't know if I was alive 10 years ago. Well, I mean... Interesting. Well,
Don't do that to me, Jake.
he's
I
got
just
an.
watched a Super Bowl halftime show of musicians who are relevant to my generation, and man, I feel old.
That Super Bowl halftime show slapped, which means I'm a man of a certain age.
That's a good thing, right? Slapping.
Yeah.
It was the last time I checked. Yeah.
Okay. Let me go to Urban Dictionary real quick here.
But I'm not super hip with it, so who knows?
Hip with it. A lot of generations of language being used here. Yeah, Intel 3770K is that's an old CPU, but if it's serving you well.
There.
I believe that had hyperthreading, so it's probably still doing just fine as long as the system is. Did Windows get reinstalled on that one? Was there a 10-year reinstall, or it's just been upgraded over time?
I used to install my PC once a year, but Windows 10 just makes it feel flawless. That's great to hear.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it does make a big difference, and I hear good things about Windows 11. I haven't ported over myself yet, but it does seem like it's pretty much the same deal, right, with Windows 11. I know Whitson just moved over.
I've had no issues with it. I've been on it for about 3 weeks, and it's been smooth sailing.
Yeah. So can we talk about one issue related to, like, you talked about this PC that's relatively well set up but slowing down a little bit. Can we talk about the issue of repasting? Because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Sure. And by repasting, he means for your thermal compound.
Mm-hmm.
And are we talking about repasting a CPU or repasting a graphics card?
Primarily, like, I'm talking CPU, because in my experience, that's the one that might reasonably at some point need it. But, like, there are communities out there that, like, start urging people into repasting their equipment on, like, day 2. And
not literally, but fairly often. Yeah.
I'm exaggerating. I'm sorry, but there is kind of that tendency. And there's a point, like, using a PC, particularly if you're still rocking a 3770. Like, you may need to do this at some point. You probably already have. Like, if you're paying attention to the thermal performance of your PC, grab an open tool like a GPU-Z, a hardware monitor, one of those. And if you're seeing that the temperatures are climbing up more than you should have, given the cooling setup you have, maybe it's time to crack open that CPU cooler and take a look at the condition of the paste, to clean it off, get some fresh stuff on there. Like, that often has a large effect. I've seen that bring some new life to PCs in my household before.
So with me personally, this is kind of a every other year task. That's how I do it. I see people in chat saying they do it every year. But to me, I mean, they're designing this paste to last, I think, what is it rated for, 5 years or something, is what they actually say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
If you use like Arctic Silver, I don't know what you guys use.
I used Noctua's high performance NT-H2, I believe.
Okay.
I have a tube of both in my desk drawer right at this moment.
Nice.
Gentlemen, we always got to be prepared.
How often do you guys...
I can kind of speak to this because I had stability issues with my build, so I had to repaste quite a bit. I was replacing CPUs or replacing CPU coolers for about 9 months, and the longest period I had was 6 months, and it looked as fresh as the day that I put it in. It wasn't the least bit dry. It wasn't the least bit cakey. So at least within that period of time, with intense gaming, heat loads going all over the place, it was fine. So I would say every other year is probably already on the high end of replacing. We're talking more like 4 or 5, and then you're going to see an improvement, because there is an improvement to be had, but as long as the paste is still viscous, it's still going to be doing its job.
Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking about one gaming PC in my house that maybe every 3 years is where it's been on the repasting cycle.
All right. Well, I guess we can quickly ask, there's a question, thoughts on swapping thermal pads on your GPU. Where does that stand?
Personally,
for most folks...
I've never done it.
You go ahead, and then I'll go to my personal opinion. Go first.
All right. One man's perspective here. Like, by the time my pads need to be replaced, I'm already eyeballing the latest generation of graphics
All right,
cards out there.
but
Can I just admit that?
we're in the world where getting a GPU is harder than ever.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, if once again, I would base it on data. Like, I would look at the actual temperatures it's operating at and ask as myself, is there the possibility my hardware is throttling due to thermals? And like, that's all information you can look up and make an objective decision on. And if the temperatures are well within the operating range, like, I don't know what you're going to accomplish with new thermal pads.
Right. So my opinion's similar. Going off what you were saying, Eric, the thermal pad issue that's been going around is what are my memory temperatures on my GPU? Can I get lower memory temperatures? Usually on a 3080, 3090, sometimes on the 6000 series. If it's within spec, you're probably fine. And I would hope that the card that's been built in a factory has something that's built to spec and you're good to go. So if you look in IDA 64 or GPU-Z and you're not seeing 120 degrees centigrade on your memory, you're probably fine. With that being said, if you've already taken the card apart because you're putting a custom water block on it, or you're doing a mod and you already have the card open, then yeah, absolutely, you could think about doing thermal pads. But I wouldn't say if you intend to run it stock to take the time to open it, because they're very delicate. I had to take mine apart 3 times, and I disliked doing it each time I did. They're surprisingly hard to take apart. With the friction of the thermal pads and the paste on the GPU core. So I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who just kind of has like a passing interest in it. It's only if you're really dedicated to it.
I've never done it, and I never intend to do it because unless I'm really desperate, it just sounds like a huge pain in the butt. And well, hopefully that advice was useful for. If you're running a 10-year-old GPU, then it might be time to consider trying that. I saw someone say that they have a 10-year-old PC and they haven't redone the paste on their CPU, so you definitely could see a benefit on that machine at this point in time, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And but one thing that every single user in this chat better be doing is cleaning your PC in general. Dust is the killer. It will absolutely ruin your fans. It will choke out your performance. It will increase the temperature of your machine as a whole, which is ultimately going to lower the longevity of every single component in your PC. It's bad. Kill the dust. Clean your PC at least once every 6 months. Keep your PC off the ground. It is just like not good. If your PC is sitting on a rug, shame on you. Stop that right now. Unplug it right now. Move it on top of at least an object. If you can't get it on your desk, put a little platform beneath it, little wooden blocks under the feet, something. Because, I mean, PSA, I've seen some horrible things at like relatives' houses where it's just like this like shag rug with their PC. I'm like, what are you? You're choking the poor thing.
Not safe for master race.
Can I also throw out there, like, can we show some love to the outside of our PC cases as well? Like, while you're cleaning your PC up, like treat this like your car, like a couple times a year, detail that thing. My favorite tool for cleaning a PC is this right here. Cheap Walmart microfiber cloth.
That's all you need.
Like, get the fingerprints off, get the dust off, make it look fresh and new while you're making it operate fresh and new. And I'll hop off my soapbox now. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of like really affordable, really useful things that everyone should have in their home. I have just a Staples brand screen cleaner, right? Nothing fancy about it. Just picked it up at Staples. And I use that with a microfiber cloth on all of the displays in my house, right? Just to keep them looking nice, keep the dust off, because dust builds up like anything. But yeah, my desktop gets treated better than my car. I'll tell you that.
My go-to is an electric duster. I grew up in a time where can duster was okay, and now I'm trying to be more environmentally friendly. So I picked up a $40 or $50 electric duster, and it totally does the job. I think it has the same amount of it. It has the reverse suction that my vacuum cleaner does. That thing is ridiculously powerful. I love it to death. And it came with a couple of brushes, so I can feel like Picasso when I'm getting in nooks and crannies, and it's great.
I had a friend who used a straight up air compressor to clean out his PC, like capable of inflating the tires of like his truck air compressor. He'd haul that out to the front porch.
As long as he's holding the fans in place, it'll get the job done.
Oh yeah, he would have destroyed those fans in a heartbeat, but he had his own lockdown, the pencil in there.
You use a shop vac on your PC? That's just savage. That's just savage. What?
Maybe it's a shop PC. Who knows? He's running his carpentry work, his carpentry programs.
Sir, we only use the finest Swiffer dusters on our PCs.
That way you can get the Swiffer duster feathers lodged into your GPU. Great.
It might seem a little counterintuitive, but a helpful hint with my case that I found. I just finally got a case with dust filters. This is my first one. If you run them under the sink, just get them wet and kind of wipe them off and let it dry for 10 or 15 minutes. It's way easier than trying to dust it out or blow it out, and it gets it perfectly clean.
Oh man, I've had cases with those for years now, and it's such a game changer. And I typically like do a big cleaning session in winter, and I do one in summer. And I have a wood stove. I live in the Northeast, so it dries in like 10 minutes. Like, don't have to worry about even a little bit of moisture left in there. But yeah, that's the way to do it. I've got my kitchen sink has one of those nozzles that you can swap to like a more powerful stream, right? Just hose it off, and it really does. I mean, case design in general is so much better than it was even 5 years ago, I feel. For accessibility on the doors, how the latches work, the dust covers for the fans. I mean, everything.
That's been a big area for improvement. Like, if you're spending $200 on a case, like it's about as good as $200 cases were like 5 years ago. But today's $50 cases are so much better than they used to be. Like at the affordable end, like there's just great options.
It's amazing what a couple of rubber grommets and like 1 inch of cable management room in the back of a case will do. Because I remember building in cases that did not have that, and it was not nearly as easy.
Yeah.
I will say though, today's $50 cases don't quite have the same style as as options. Yeah, I always talk myself up into something with a little more personality.
I mean, but you don't have to go crazy. I mean, the $80, $90, $110 range is fantastic. Super high airflow. Usually comes with a couple fans. That'll set you up.
I'm really heavily considering a full liquid cooled build for my next one. Like
You're gonna do it. You're gonna commit.
I'm heavily considering it. I mean, this build is not even a year old, so I'm not building a new PC anytime in the immediate future. But it is. I look at some of these extreme glacial builds that we have, right? And that motherboard is just,
oh man,
it's so cool. It's a life goal, right? It's like just to do a custom loop with an EK water blocks, extreme glacial motherboard, like the whole deal. I saw Snef Computer Design in the chat actually, and some of the builds he's put out are just inspiring is the only word I can use. It's just like, man, I need to build something like that in my lifetime. So cool.
It is a different beast. It's absolutely a different beast. I was thinking about doing it. I copped out and I got a hybrid GPU and an AIO CPU cooler. But yeah, that's probably still a life goal of mine as well, to just commit and do the full loop.
Chat question, do you zip tie or Velcro?
Oh, zip tie. Definitely.
I use both.
I mean, I use what I have on hand, but black zip ties, definitely.
There's a certain element of like permanence to a zip tie. Like, not that you can't like bust out like the pliers and snip it.
Right.
But I find myself looking for Velcro. Like, that's just a recognition that I'm going to be tinkering, I'm going to be upgrading, I'm going to be moving things around.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And they look really nice these days. They're just as slick as a zip tie is.
this desktop has had 4 different GPUs and all in different like situations. So I definitely have had to move things around several times. I also swapped in Leon Lee streamer cables at some point, which means having to route those in the back and remove everything. So if everything was zip tied and I had to clip them all and start over completely, I would have been a little bummed. But I do use zip ties in the corners where I know this is like a finite position for this cable and stuff like that, because they are smaller. They're definitely, they thread nicely in the the side of the case most cases. Yeah, good question. I think there's a lot that goes into building your PC, but also being flexible for growth and expanding, on what you've got.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we are late for the marbles giveaway. We're already a full hour in, so we're going to wrap things up here. So let's fire up marbles. And again, guys, if you want to participate in this giveaway, you need to type !play on Twitch when the screen pops up in just a moment once we're into the race. Guys, feel free to ask any other questions you might have regarding the PC building, cleaning, the whole world.
The final thing I just wanted to bring up while we're loading marbles is one of the components in my build that changed my build the most was getting a UPS, uninterruptible power supply. It's not part of my build. It's connected on the outside, but the fact that you have a surge protector with a battery bank
that also
attached to it,
doesn't it tell you your power consumption as well?
It tells you your power consumption, so you have
that's interesting.
It's an accurate wall power meter. I live in an older house, and if somebody turns on the vacuum cleaner anywhere in the house, it drops the available current or wattage or whatever it is, that it would brown me out while I was using it. You can actually hear the UPS activating when somebody turns on a power tool. So
is that why you're moving? You're moving entirely to get away from that, aren't you?
It's very annoying. But it's been fantastic. And then when the power does go out, you have 30, 40, 50 minutes to turn your PC off safely, even while you're using it. So if anybody isn't on a power strip or has a PC that has some expensive components in it, highly, highly, highly recommend a nice quality UPS.
All right, Lane, you're going to link me privately the UPS you suggest and the electric air blower you suggest.
Okay, I got you.
With this machine, it's foolish of me to not have one at this point. I mean, I've got a great, surge protector, but it's not necessarily going to, keep it from not losing power and so on, which does sound useful. All right, we'll give you guys another 5 or 10 seconds to enter the giveaway. !play in Twitch chat to participate. This one says plur.
Plur. I feel like I'm not fluent in whatever language that's happening in.
What, Marvel?
Where's my boy Disco Ninja?
Is he here?
I thought we were not supposed to hype him up.
Damn.
Right.
Why are you cursing this guy?
Where is my nemesis, Disco Ninja, who is not going to win?
There's a way to see the full list of users, but I don't remember how to do that. That's okay.
He's here. I saw his name.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to read when they're all just jumbled on top of each other. Okay.
That's all right. I'm kind of feeling the almighty Dutch today, personally.
Who's rocking the purple? I haven't seen that color.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He just got that skin. He's really proud of it.
Yeah, as he should be.
Okay, and they're off. Musical Eclipse.
It's like the easiest obstacle to avoid that I've ever seen. It's like 10% of the runway.
Oh, well, sometimes they're not necessarily obstacles. Sometimes they're just there to nudge you to the side.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Club TV taking the lead. Here we go.
Because Musical Eclipse was in the lead, but he went down the side path. But Klob.
Sarge T coming up behind. Doesn't this make you want to go full sports announcer mode?
I've done it before. Klob gets yeeted up to the third layer. Now we're up even higher, going up to layer 6, I believe. We got to climb to the top. Klob makes it in.
Oh, that's great. That's King of the Hill. That's awesome.
That was really fun. I have never seen a map anything like this. Sarge got second. So close, Sarge. What club? Congrats. Type in chat to claim your win, your $20 voucher to gameswanted.com. Boom. They just keep flying up. It's so satisfying, actually.
It's like a reverse chocolate fountain or something.
Now I want a chocolate fountain. Anyone here have a chocolate fountain in their house? I'll be really impressed if someone does.
We're learning about all of Jake's life goals today. Custom loop.
Custom 13th gen
fountain.
I
Intel.
actually don't really like chocolate that much, so I lied.
What about brown tubing or clear tubing with brown liquid? You could have a chocolate fountain themed PC.
Oh my gosh.
It would
Make
look
it the
melty.
The Willy Wonka PC. There you go. It's like the chocolate river is
Yeah, where's Augustus
cooling
Gloop when
your
you need him?
PC. I might be talking myself out of this already.
Well, I still want this marbles map that's the inside of an RG PC. That's what we need, right? Where they're racing through the custom loops and like, I don't know, maybe the finish line is in the PSU. Where would the finish line be?
Yeah, the VRMs or the PSU.
You know, I think the finish line would have to send you down the display output cable and like
into a monitor and then down to a mouse. Oh my goodness, this could be.
Okay, I like where you're going with that.
all right, I believe.
All right, well, I think we did have him confirm the win, but awesome. Congrats, Club. We'll be in touch soon. All right, guys. Well, I think that's any other final tips on planning and maintaining the longevity of your PC before we go away. And I'm going to link the article you guys wrote in chat once more, just so that everybody can see that.
When you buy a new CPU, buy a new power supply.
Oh, always like a definite, no matter what, never carry a PSU over. Because I've done that,
You know,
multiple times.
yeah, I mean, I have carried over. Like power supplies tend to like get like passed down, you know, like clothing from your older brother.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's one of those components that just like everything relies on. And I have seen too many weird problems in a PC because of crappy, failing, or aging power supplies, right? Like,
Or just not necessarily enough. Always get a little bit extra if it says like it supports this, because that's what I did. I don't want to call out the PSU I had, but I had to move up to 1,000 watt because my previous PSU was, I mean, my PC was just shutting off randomly for like, and this was months and months of troubleshooting, just trying to figure out what the hell was going on with my PC. Because, you know, it was really random. It was just happening once in a while. So I would just, on a Friday stream, just be like, oh, lost power on my PC. And I've been on my Strix 1000, you know, W for 6 months now. Never had a dropout. So
there you go.
Yeah, having a couple 100 watts as overhead, it matters more than you would think. Because normally when you'd go on PC Part Picker and you'd look at all your parts and say, okay, this is the wattage I need for the GPU, the CPU. I'm good. I'm going to get a 650 or a 750. But giving yourself an extra 100 or 200 to breathe can mean a lot.
I went from 800 to 1,000 personally. But yeah.
That's where they're operating the most efficiently anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and speaking of the higher efficiency standards are worth springing for.
Makes sense.
For sure.
Well, guys.
The electrical engineers in the house are nodding.
Cool. Well, we're over time. So tomorrow we'll be back at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific for Total War Warhammer 3. I've never played a Warhammer game before in my life. My knowledge of Warhammer games is basically zero. So that's going to be enjoyable. Check that out. That's going live on Xbox Game Pass for everyone tomorrow. And then on Friday, we'll be diving in to play Dying Light 2. Look forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah, I hear good things. I played the first one a little bit, but yeah, it should be a pretty one. Should be gorgeous, like RTX. Folks, we'll see you next time. Eric and Lane. GG's.
Good chatting with you.
Thanks for having me.